Hello, everyone. It's Friday night. What? Oh, I love this day. This is like my almost favorite day of the week. I think it is.
Well, except for
Saturday
when you go yard selling.
When I go yard selling, yeah. I find treasures all over the place. Hello, everyone. We have a lot of people already in the room. This is great. Hello, Jade Kidden, John, Tiffany, Melissa, Melissa, welcome back. John without an H, JD, Shana, John with an H. Oh, Stacy's here too. How you doing, Stacy? How's your husband? I hope everything's okay.
She might have a reoccurrence of brain cancer.
Okay.
Well, we're hoping not.
We hope everything works out.
Yeah.
So if you need anything, you can reach out if you just want to talk or vent or something like that. All right. So we have a guest tonight. We do have a guest.
More people.
I know.
Eric.
There you go.
More people coming in.
What? We got questions already. What the fuck is that aimed at John's legit question? Wow. I don't know what that meant. I don't know. All right, so let me get into this. Let me get into the rules. Our rules tonight. Let me
We have rules?
We have rules. You need rules because otherwise it's utterly chaos.
I don't know.
We don't want that. All right, the rules are pretty simple. We go over them every week. Rule number 1 is you are welcome to ask questions. This is a learning show. So we sometimes have a guest on, which we do tonight, which I'm excited about. And they can answer some of your questions. I can answer some of your questions. But the rule number 2 goes into the other side of that. We don't know everything. Sometimes we might say, I don't know. And that's okay. We can look it up. We can try to look it up. Or I got my notebook right here. I can write it down and try to get back to you and with an answer. Rule number 3 is that we follow the Patrick Swayze rule, which means be nice. You guys can go in the chat room. You can discuss, debate. You can disagree all you want to your little heart's content, but be nice about it. If you stray over to the dark side where you start name calling and bashing and stuff like that, Divine Donna will boot your ass. And that's a promise.
Facebook will.
Or Facebook will. Yeah. Careful with comments. I'm going to put that out there again. Facebook community rules. You'll see they probably are up in the comments. If you're on Facebook, they probably show up. Community standards. Don't type anything about like hurting someone. Don't do that because that picks up the algorithm picks that up and could put you in Facebook jail. So we've already had a couple people do that.
Yeah, and Bob just reminded us. Rule number 6: don't quote movies or TV shows.
Oh yeah, even in jest like that. But not all movies and TV shows. What do you mean?
I guess if it comes after.
She quoted something that was violent towards somebody. All right. So. Rule number 4 is that if you have a question, put a Q in front of it. That helps Donna pick them out and saves them for later.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not responsible. If I miss it, then it's on you.
There you go. Divine Donna has spoken. And rule number 5 is my favorite rule: drink up. There you go. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
All right, now that we got that done, let's bring on our guest. So let me put up my special guest thing here and then unmute his mic and bring him on. It's Rob Palmer. What's up, buddy?
Hello, Kenny, and skeptical and non-skeptical folks out there. And Donna, Divine Donna.
Divine Donna. Mm-hmm. That's because she's the voice from nowhere.
Voice from the ether.
The ether. Mm-hmm. So how you doing? How you been?
Doing just fine. Survived COVID. Hopefully this is almost over with. Gonna leave my bunker soon, perhaps. We were just chatting before. We'll see about SciCon. Maybe this year. Maybe not. I don't know. But I hear rumors you're going.
We're going.
We're going. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but to pay for my way, but we're going. And,
I've been doing everything on Zoom. It's like I do Zoom like 3 days a week,
right?
On all sorts of different things, including the one we're going to talk about today, the project with Richard Saunders. But it's like that's my life from the bunker. Zoom.
Yeah, I mean we've done it. Well, we get out a lot. but not as much. But I do a lot of stuff online. I mean, I think everyone has, but I mean, 2 podcasts a week at least, and then any kind of meetings or anything are always online. So our lives are online. Our lives have changed since the before time. So yeah, we're getting used to it. All right, so we are going to talk about psychics today. We're going to talk about psychics. We talked about psychics last time you were on. I think we got more in depth into the business part of it and how much money they make, and because we did a talk. I think that's the last talk either of us did in person.
Kenny, that was the last time I did pretty much anything in person. It was with you in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Yeah. Really? Wow.
Yeah, Facebook popped it up last week. Hey, 3 years ago, and it was like, oh my God, that was the week before all the flights stopped from Europe and the pandemic was announced. And you and I were in Red Bank doing the joint talk.
Yeah. Wow. That's so long ago. Oh, we were just like kids then.
Actually, if you look at the pictures, my hair was significantly darker. So yes.
That shoe polish was working pretty good. All right. So you were part of a project. So that's what we're talking about today. What do you have? Oh, I'm supposed to do something first. Before we get into this discussion, because I have something that always comes up. I have my remote viewing challenge, my box. So because we're talking about psychics, we thought we'll do it again.
We'll do it again this week.
So there is something in here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. No, and that should be a clue. There is something in there. So you can put your guesses. Make sure you put the word guess before your comment of your guess.
And
be specific. No general, it's something blue or air.
Yeah.
The first bitch says air.
Can I guess rubber cat ball that doesn't make any noise when it bounces because it's squeezed?
That might be a good guess. No. So yeah, put your guesses in there. Donna will keep track of them.
Yeah, and what did we pick for like a R in front of it for what do we do for guesses?
No, just put the word guess.
Okay, guess.
Capitalize the whole word guess and then put your guess. And then again,
RVC guess is fine.
We're gonna be if you win, because we did have one winner who guessed randomly. I'm looking at you.
Bailey Harris's. Neat.
2 of Bailey's books and 1 L.
Very cool.
So if you win, I'll send them out to you, and you can do with them as you wish.
I'm gonna try to write all these down. I'm having issues with my finger tonight, so this is difficult at the moment.
Donna might have broken her finger.
I'm trying to write it. I'm like, oh shit.
She's got one of them like soft casts you get from like CVS or something.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm trying.
Funny. She looks funny writing. You guys should see her. Look. Oh, there she is.
Look at my little finger, and it has to be my right hand.
It's not a little finger. It's a big blue shiny.
Yeah, you want to see it?
Shiny. She's giving me the finger. Anyway, so all right, let's get into this now that I have Donna busy.
Yeah,
writing guesses down.
Are we gonna do half show talk?
Let's talk. We've been trying this format where me and you, or the guest, me and you will talk for the first hour, and then we'll take a break, and then the second hour we're going to do questions. So yeah, you're going to have to put up with some questions. I don't know what they're going to ask you. So what's this project that you
can ask me where I got this cool shirt I'm wearing? How about that?
Look at that shirt.
Look at that.
Oh, I think you might see that during our pee break. You might see where that comes from. All right, so you were part of a project. You participated and you wrote an article for the last print issue of Skeptical Inquirer, I believe, right? You wrote an article about this?
Yeah, I actually wrote it for the online website, and they liked it so much they had me trim it down to about 50% for the magazine.
Oh my!
Yes.
Oh my!
Yeah, I've had 3. That's my 3rd one in the magazine. And the magazine, because it's actually paper and space and ink, it needs you can put a lot less words than you can on a website. So almost every single time. Every single time I've done it so far is I had to trim it by 75%, 50%, something like that. So this was about half. So
I
if
think
you ever,
I think we share a problem where we write too much.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I
you
do.
want, yeah, you
I
want
do. I get to yours and I go, oh, I want to know more. I want to know more. But then
to.
I actually gave one of my articles to somebody who was not a skeptic, and he read, that was really good, but it was way long, Rob.
Yeah, I get that once in a while. It's like, oh my God, you just went on and went on, and you can't help it because there's information.
Yeah.
You can't help. I can't delete it. I can't.
Yeah,
cut it out.
that's my biggest problem. It's like they
Yeah,
always say that's a writer's flaw. You don't want to, get rid of your baby, cut any
right.
parts of your baby out.
And we
But
don't want to shortchange.
I had to do that for the magazine, and it's like,
Okay.
okay, so what part of this isn't absolutely necessary to get the story across, and what's kind of extra, chop, 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 and I almost cried every time I did it. But
All right. So what's this project? What's it called? What is it?
so it is called the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project. I like that sort of alliteration there. And so this was begun by Richard Saunders, who people might know who that is. He's a lifelong member of the Australian Skeptics, and he runs a little-known podcast called The Skeptic Zone, probably one of the biggest skeptic podcasts there is. It's been running since almost before there wasn't any podcasts. And, he got it in his head in 2010, I believe it was, to say, well, every year we hear these stories about, what the psychics predict for the coming year.
Right.
They usually, do it the last week of December, or maybe even the first week of January. And it happens in every country. So he concentrated on Australia. And he decided, well, they don't really check. The newspapers, magazines, TV shows just let these guys come on and say whatever they want. And they never say, hey, they were wrong about that, right? A year later. They don't do that. So Richard decided, let's investigate.
We don't ever see. I always see, like, in December you see some psychics come on the news, or you see them in the newspaper. If you still read those, I do. But yeah, you see the predictions, and it's these grand predictions, but you never see the week before going, oh, let's look at January's predictions or last.
Because frankly, the places which hire these people or pay them some amount of money to write these things up to fill some space, they don't care, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's column inches or whatever that people are interested in, and they'll maybe sell some more of their magazine or get some more eyeballs on it if it's on the web or whatever. They don't care if it's true or not. They just don't. The people who are paying for it.
Yeah. Right.
They don't at all. So Richard decided, let's do this in a measure that's large enough to get us to something that's statistically meaningful. And I don't know that when he started, he intended it to become as large or for as many years as he did. But like he started in 2010, and he went back to 2000, and he started collecting whatever was published in Australia by any means that he could record and get a copy of.
Okay.
Right. And then it went on and on and on, and we did it till 2021. So he's got 11 years of predictions, and it was 3,811 predictions that he managed to put into a database. And that covers a little over 200 Australian psychics.
So he went from 2000 to 2021?
Yes.
So 21 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. And you said over 3,000 predictions.
Yeah, 3811. Yeah.
3811. And these are all, I know you mentioned it, but these are all in print. These are all.
They're either in print, or they were he recorded them from YouTube or from a television show or sometimes some radio. Okay. He's got copies of we only looked at the ones he could back up with a verification.
Okay.
Right.
And that's important. That's really important, because now you're not dealing with hearsay. You're dealing with something that was put out there to the public.
And yes, and he fully expects people to complain. I didn't say that. Well, yeah, here you did. From 20 years ago, here's the recording.
Yep. Wow.
Right. So then Richard had to say, okay, now how do I do this 3,800 plus? The time that it's going to take to figure these things out, because there's some kind of a internet law, I think it is, an adage, which is it's so much easier to make up bullshit than to dispute it.
Yes.
and this is true, Kenny. I mean, we had a team of
Kenny knows that.
9, 10 people, 12 people, and rotating. Not everyone can make it every week, but most usually there was at least 9 people on any one scoring session, and we did it every week since the pandemic started. Going through these, and sometimes it was, a quick one. All right, somebody said there was going to be a tsunami that's going to hit the Florida coast in, whatever, in December. It's really easy to check that didn't happen in 2010. But then someone comes up with some, Meg Ryan is feeling awkward towards her current boyfriend, and she's wondering if she's going to break up with him and get another person to, and she, oh my God, how do you figure out something that's that not concrete? So, but we try, we spent so much time. And then, the stock market in 2004 in the Australian suburb of so-and-so is going to do, I was like, oh my God, how do you find that information? But that's what we did. And it took a long time.
I'm sure, because you're going through these minute details, especially if you don't have a specific date or place or a name. Maybe because I'm sure there's going to be general predictions, like general.
Yeah, so very much general sports. Since this was Australia, and they like the British monarchy. They're still their monarchs in some way or another, which I still don't fully understand. But there's a lot of predictions about all the British monarchy. Celebrities was the number one category. Wow. Nicole Kidman, the number one name in the database. They love Nicole Kidman and making predictions about her life.
I love how it's like these phenomenal cosmic universal powers, and they
exactly
them
Nicole Kidman will feel badly about her, ankle injury that she's going to get in August, and she'll, not be around for parties for a few weeks. It's like,
oh my goodness, thank you, universe.
And I just made that up. Don't hold me to that. But that's the kind of thing. That's a freaking thing that's hard to, even track down. Did this happen? Like sometimes it's a celebrity is going to have secret surgery. Okay, if it's secret, how are we ever going to find it?
Wow. All right. So how you mentioned about getting together, there's 9 to 10 people. Is this 9 to 10 people like working together at one time, or was there like a rotation of like 100 or some people that just came into the group? Or was it just 9 or 10 people?
I would say it was somewhere in the order of, I'm guessing here, maybe 18 that participated on and off, but it was mostly a core group of 6 of us, and then there'd be other people joining. With Richard and Susan Garbeck were there all the time.
Susan, wow! I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that she was part of this.
Leonard Trammell, Adrian Hill, Kelly Burke, Michelle Bickismar, who's one of the people who support the Skeptic Zone with segments, and Lou Hillman. There was a bunch of us who were there pretty much every week. It was 2 hours every Tuesday. Well, Tuesday U.S. time. Some of those people are in Australia, so it was the next day. So that was really interesting because it was an international team. We knew different things about just popular culture and whatever. So sometimes something would be written about. I'll give you one. I'll paraphrase, but the crux of this is correct in this prediction. Clucky Venus will influence Nicole Kidman to feel that she's has a problematic relationship. And, we looked at that and goes, Richard, did you do a typo there? I know you scan these in sometimes. What's clucky Venus mean? No, how do you not know what clucky means? That's an Australian term that everyone in Australia knows.
What's it mean?
Well, thinking of now I know what it means. I'm thinking, how would this have come about? I'm thinking maybe chicken sitting on an egg clucking. It happens to be being in a motherly way, wanting children.
Okay. Oh,
so, but that's applied to the planet Venus. Clucky Venus is influencing it's bizarre.
Chicken Venus? That's weird. Venus? All right. I'm sure that came up more than once where there's that language.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was often because these are Australians giving these predictions. What? That has to be a typo. No, that means this here. Okay. So we learned a lot. Also learned about Australian states. I knew nothing about them and the government there. That was quite a fascinating part of this. They made political predictions also about the sports leagues in Australia. Now, some of them were global. They made predictions about major events or famous things. One of my favorite ones was one of these that's like, how could someone say this and then it gets written up like it's meaningful and deep. It was, let's see if I can find it so I can give it to you exactly. Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. This is who will win the U.S. election. The numerology shows. So this is from October 21st, 2020. Right, just a week before, 2 weeks before the U.S. election.
Right.
Who will win the U.S. election? The numerology shows that both Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden have a chance of winning the next U.S. presidential election. And I can guarantee you, folks, that these people always self-score themselves. That they mark that down as right. That was in the correct column. I guessed that right.
Wow, that's yeah. I
they
would
can
love
say,
to
"Oh, it was so close that's how I predicted it." Either one could win.
Either one, which is the only two that are going to win.
Okay, so what is your explanation for this one? This was also marked correct by Kerry Cullens in 2001. She predicted using anti-gravity to lift heavy objects will become a reality instead of just a dream.
Yo, where's my anti-gravity machine?
This is what I said in my article. I missed the Cyber Monday sale on the devices from Amazon.com.
I'd be throwing all my credit cards at you. I want my little anti-gravity motorbike to fly.
But Richard went to her own website and she had marked that as a successful guess.
Wow. Wait, what?
I'm telling you.
How can you mark that successful when it's not a
Call
reality?
Kerry Culkins.
So I'm assuming Kerry or she's a psychic.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe a prominent. So like one of my questions, the predictions that were being made by these psychics, were most of these psychics, I guess, celebrities or famous or something like
some more than others. I mean, there's what did I say? 207. There's 207 people. So just like in the U.S., you'd have people that were more famous than other ones.
Right.
But they were all well known enough that some paper wanted to publish them or bring them on the TV show or something.
Right. It's fluff. It's a lot of fluff. At the end of the year kind of thing. Let's get them in there and see what have some fun. So this you mentioned a scoring system. So can you tell us about that? Like how?
Yeah.
Were the categories?
So we were all skeptics on this team, but we went in it. Okay, if this is real, we want to see it in the data. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt when it makes sense to do that. And if there's any kind of trend in the data that any particular psychic is real, or maybe a group of psychics tends to predict this type of topic, natural disasters better than others, or what's happening with the British royalty, it would have come out in the data, and not so much. So of all the so first off, we had 5 categories.
Okay.
Right? Either something was outright correct, right? And we marked that. So yes, you got that one. That was, well, I'll give you the number last. There was a much smaller category of unknown. We spent time trying to figure stuff out and we could not, like one of the examples I gave you before. Like somebody's going to have secret plastic surgery or something. Okay,
so no way to verify.
That's correct. Okay. So we just, we marked that as unknown. So, and that was just 2% of the data. So not a lot of those. All right. There are a huge number that are vague. And this is the kind that, deals with people's relationship, or I can actually give you some exact examples from this to show you what we mean by this.
I'm guessing it's going to be like just no names, no dates, no specifics, just vague.
All right. Upheavals and shocks in institutions and political life will occur. I feel, this is from 2005. I feel that George Bush and his daddy, well, they put out a lot and it's coming back. So I feel relations for them will be difficult this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Unexpected objects will be falling to Earth.
Okay. That's funny.
Yeah. The entry of the planet Uranus, or Uranus, depending how you like to say that, into Aries sign will bring in a new political leadership globally. So those are the examples of like, how do you possibly check those? So So that's almost 20% of the database, right?
Okay.
And one of the keys is that by psychics doing that, they can mark those correct, right? They will draw any straw. Oh yeah, look, that happened. That's what I meant here. And that ups their game for how many they think they got correct, for sure. Right?
Okay.
So then there's one other interesting category, which is expected. Okay. So let me give you an example of some expected ones. And the thing with expected is, if someone were to say, I predict the sun is going to rise tomorrow morning, technically that's correct, unless some kind of solar system disaster happens.
Yeah, unless we blow up.
Give you that as correct because that was expected.
Yeah.
Right. So that was fully 15%.
Wow.
Right, of the database. So that's kind of problematic. So some examples of those: wild storms and brush fire danger will happen in Australia every year. Australia will experience some of the hottest days in many years. Yeah, every year it's been doing that. There will be snowstorms in Germany. Yeah, I see large earthquakes happening in several parts of the world. Look at the U.S. Geological Survey. Every hour, there's earthquakes all over the planet.
I predict that it will be dark tonight.
There you go.
At what time?
No, that's too specific.
Yeah,
that's too specific.
Yeah.
So
tonight it will get dark.
So no doubt, a lot of the psychics who predicted those marked themselves as correct in those, but we weren't going to give them that. So yeah. So then you get the ones that are just outright wrong, and I'm not going to even read examples of that. Well, maybe I will.
Yeah, come on.
So some of them are just freaking amazing. So the thing is that if you make enough predictions, some of them are just going to come right because you made a bazillion predictions, right? But also, if you throw yourself out there in a really odd one, you're going to get these wrong, right? So here we go. Besides the anti-gravity one, that was one of the just wrong predictions, right? I don't think authorities will catch Osama bin Laden next year or ever. There you go. Barack Obama will fall from grace. The incident seems to involve pork in the future market of farming. Yeah, this was in 2009, early in his presidency.
Really didn't expect you to say pork.
I don't get it. From 2010, health problems around Queen Elizabeth will mean that the subject of the successor can no longer be ignored. The successor will be Prince Charles. No, still not. 12 years later.
Okay.
I see Sydney being hit by a rather large earthquake. No, I have to go with Richard. He said no, there were no earthquakes of any large nature in any of Australia, never mind Sydney. And Hillary Clinton will become the next president of the USA.
Oh, got that one wrong. So
53% are of that number.
53%, which is the largest percentage.
Yeah.
Wrong. Just completely wrong.
Completely wrong. So if you can do the math there, but I will tell you and save you the trouble, it's 11% correct.
11% correct. Now, with that number, is that completely correct? That's they hit it right on the money.
No, we were very nice in that regard, I would think. And we had 9 people at all the sessions generally, and we would sometimes argue about that. Hey, is that expected, or should we give them that as correct, right? Or is that even too vague? So we weren't a monolithic block, and generally we erred on the side of giving it to them. So I think the 11% is actually higher than it would be if certain ideas of what was correct. I'll say me. I said no, don't give them that as correct, but I was often overruled. So they do sports a lot. A lot of these are sports. I don't remember what the percent was, but a significant number. So, if you predict in the World Series that Team A is going to win and not Team B, and they do, that's correct. But you could have flipped the coin, right? That was essentially a 50, with maybe some difference in the odds, but 50-50 shot at that.
Right.
So look at it this way: if those are the only kinds of predictions you made, you would get 50% of your predictions correct. right? So that drives up the 11% number for sure. Having those in that group makes it 11%.
Okay.
Right. Now, if somebody starts at the beginning of the baseball season and says there are X number of teams and this team will win, that's different, right? That's neither expected, and that definitely would be a correct one. But so there's a gray area there, right?
Right.
A brown horse is going to win the Kentucky Derby, which I think was like a thing. Yeah, that's pretty much expected because almost all the horses are brown, right? But
wait, somebody said a brown horse?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was one like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Right.
Now that
That's only a little worse than saying a horse will win the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
But yeah. But if you're coming down to, I don't know, like the last race and there's 12 horses and you predict it, okay, you got a 1 out of 12 shot. You got that.
Okay.
But we've been asked if were there any amazing ones? Wow, how did you see that? And really, no. That was almost the most surprising.
Like nothing stood out to you guys and said, shit, we really need to look at this closer.
No, like if someone had said, Biden will pick Harris as a vice presidential, then she'll become vice president, like 6 months before he was even nominated, that would have been amazing. The closest I got was maybe a few months before when he was already picking all the people, and it was in the news that everybody who he was considering was African American, and the prediction was there'll be an African American vice president if Biden wins.
Okay. Right. Wow.
So yeah, do you mark that as correct or expected? And we had some arguments about that because it could have been that things changed. It hadn't happened yet, right? He could have nominated another person. It could have been an Asian person or a European background, and they could have been. So then, wow, she was right back then.
Right.
So yeah, so it was really interesting in the numbers that they came out. And if you look at any large group subset of numbers, it always seemed to be 11%. We kept calling that the Saunders number. Like if there was a large enough set of numbers for a particular psychic or a particular topic, like the Royals or whatever, it always seemed to be around 11%, which was really interesting.
That's interesting. And again, that's grading on a somewhat of a curve, giving them the benefit. You're giving them the benefit.
In my opinion, yeah.
Okay.
So, and the last thing we did, after we went through all of those ones that Richard had, collected all those years, 3,800 predictions, we decided, well, if these people say they can predict, a Nicole Kidman's bathroom habits almost, you'd think they'd be able to see really big things that happened, right? So then we went through every one of those 21 years and looked at all of the big news stories for each one and logged 10 for each year that no one predicted in this database. And we made a little list of those, just, worst drought in Australia in 100 years, that the space shuttle would burn up on reentry, that there would be an Indian Ocean tsunami that kills 250,000 people in 1, hour, that there were coordinated suicide bombings in London. No. Hey, even Apple introducing the iPhone, a breakthrough in technology. No, they missed that one. Yeah, and although some psychics have said they predicted it, nobody really predicted the COVID-19 global pandemic that upended the whole world.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal. That did affect the entire world, and nobody predicted that.
Some of them will say they did, and you retroactively, but you can't find it. Or if you look at what they're claiming, how they predicted it was, there'll be some other problem that's kind of like SARS in the future, sometime. So it was a really general thing.
Right.
If anybody even came close.
Okay.
Sylvia Browne wrote something in one of her books where I think Ben Radford pulled that apart because, of course, everyone believing in psychic powers pointed to that when it was found out, and it was really vague in general.
Yeah, and I believe that the wording was changed with a reprint. I remember vaguely about that incident, and it wasn't a prediction per se. It was. I don't know. I don't remember what it is, so I'm not going to comment because I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
So the final results, you got 11% correct, which, in your opinion, is generous. So I have two questions. One, you mentioned how some of these psychics marked themselves, or they marked themselves correct. what does that mean? Did they like go back and like have a section on their website saying, "Oh, I made these predictions and all of these"?
Yeah. So I'm hearing this secondhand. This is what Richard reported in his article, and that's how I know about the one about the anti-gravity being marked as correct. But that's what he said on her own website. You know, when she makes the predictions for the coming year, she'll have a section. Here are my predictions from last year that I got right, or actually, I think she said she put all of them, and she had little check marks for the ones that she claimed were correct. And it was something like 75% of the ones she said were correct. And yes, the anti-gravity was marked.
I got to contact her because I need to know where my scooter is. I need my scooter. All right. So the second question, the follow-up question to that is, where is it? I lost. Okay. So being that you guys were all skeptics, you're coming together, you're analyzing all this data from psychics. I guess what would be your response to somebody or a group of people that would say, well, of course you're going to say their predictions are not accurate, or you're giving them the benefit of the doubt because you're just skeptics and you don't believe anyway. So
yeah, well, that's a good question. And Richard kept all of this data. When we scored something, he put a citation in the database to say why we said it was the way it was. And this data is available for scrutiny by others.
Okay.
Yeah. And he has repeatedly said, you know, he believes we did a fair enough job that, you know, people can go over it. They might change a few, the ones that were, well, maybe that's not expected. Maybe that really would be, I might say that was correct, or vice versa. But he said, you know, there is no way, because we did that many, as you know, the end of a very large number, over 3,000, that a few small changes are going to change the result. The outcome of 11% correct and 53% wrong.
So, do you think it's fair? Do you think the whole study was fair? Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, it was
right.
We gave them more than I think they sometimes deserved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I mentioned that in my article. You know, Richard kind of more stuck to the facts in his original. This is what we did. And I took, my article was more from the standpoint of having worked on it. This was the behind the scenes look. And I gave that opinion about, I mentioned the sports thing as one thing, which is why I think 11% is generous.
Yeah. So I guess, so if somebody comes up to you then, so I know you kind of pushed that answer on to Richard about like his notes and stuff. So what about you? If somebody came to you and said, hey, you know, you're a skeptic, aren't you biased against us? What kind of response would you give?
To go F themselves?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. No, that was
we just put in so many hours of really wanting to find the data and to understand the data and to know the truth. That, you know, no, none of us did it. We're going to get psychics and prove that they have power, that they don't have powers that they do.
See, that's actually what I was looking for. That's the kind of answer I was looking for, because it's not, and I've said this a bunch of times, it's not that we are trying to purposely prove everyone wrong.
Right.
In their beliefs. You guys were actually looking for something that would stand out.
Nobody would be more pleased if there was a fundamental shift in, you know, in the understanding of physics. If we could figure out that this was a real phenomenon. I'm hearing echo. I don't know if you are. If, you know, if this is a real phenomenon and certain people have this capability, and then fantastic, we could figure out how this works. You know, somebody could win a Nobel Prize, which is millions of dollars, if that's all you care about. But also, you know, you would turn the world on its head. You would, especially for the people who claim to be mediums, you'd prove there's an afterlife. And like, at least some religion is right. You know, I'm not going to say which specific one, but, you know, that would be amazing to be able to do that. And, you know, to think that we're just, oh, no, you just don't want to prove it, you know, is real, is just ridiculous.
Right. So what do you think of, I guess in general, what do you think of psychics and mediums? I know there's two different categories. They're often used interchangeably, but your personal opinions. Do you think that psychic and or mediums are genuinely trying to deceive the public, or do you think they are simply they believe what they preach? They really believe it, and it's not deception.
I've talked to people who have a lot more exposure to people in that field than I have ever had. And I get diverse opinions from them. Richard answered that question. We were interviewed on a podcast last week. And that specific question he answered by saying, I do believe a lot of them believe they can do it. They've been convinced by people telling them they're right, and even if they weren't exactly right, confirmation bias, motivated reasoning, that kind of stuff. But he said, but I wouldn't give the same faith to the people who are on the public, in the news and who make a living at it. I've talked to other people. I won't give a name here in case I get it wrong, but my impression is they don't think anyone really believes it. And this is somebody who's, I'll say, a mentalist who's been in the field. I don't know. I'm thinking. I met somebody at your house, right? When
yes, yeah.
You invited skeptics and paranormal believers over, and that was the first time I got that long of a talk with somebody who believed that they were a psychic medium, and I have no reason to doubt that they believe what they were saying. Also. They said they don't make money out of it. It's just a quote unquote gift. They help people when they can. That's very different from somebody who, becomes a millionaire by going on television and telling, doing cold reading and saying that they, are in contact with your dead relatives.
Right. Yeah, it's a big difference. And I've come across a bunch of people where, I'm friends with a lot of people that claim to be psychics or mediums or some kind of gifted like that. And they know my stance. They know what I think about it, and we still get along.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
It's fun. It's fun, especially when they do try to give me readings. We have that. It's not necessarily like a stump the skeptic kind of game, but it's like, oh, you know what? Let's sit down and let me see if I can convince you a little bit, and I'm all for it. Please, show me something, tell me something, amazing, wow me.
It's so there's a couple of famous expressions which I often think of on the subject. It's like the easiest person to fool is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you've been getting the adoration and confirmation when you tell people things that you're right, it just builds it up in your own head that you do have this power. And I think this happened to Ray Hyman, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you know that story, or am I substituting for it?
I don't know it.
No.
Different skeptic. All right, well, let's leave Ray out of it. Some famous skeptic. Some famous skeptic started doing this as a lark. I think it was tarot cards. And he was getting such good verification. Oh, yeah, that's right. That he started to wonder if he had powers. Is that ringing a bell at all, Kenny?
That's ringing. Yeah, I'm starting to. You know what? I do remember. I remember Randy actually saying something about that, like an early interview, him saying that he did like horoscopes for a newspaper, and he was getting it right. But I don't think that was him. Now I'm curious. Now I got to write it down and find that because
so that's one thing, is that the easiest person to fool is yourself. So then the other one is anyone can be fooled, and if you think you can't be fooled, then you are a fool, and that's attributed to Mark Twain. So the issue of personal experience is a hard nut to crack, right? Exactly. I do helpline for recovering from religion. And people call with one foot out the door. Maybe they don't believe the religion they're brought up in, and they're having significant doubts. And we talk about a lot of things. And the thing that can't get past is they felt the Holy Spirit, when they were in church, or they believe they prayed and their prayer was answered next week or next month. And that to them, that's a connection that is real. And, it's hard to give another explanation to people, random chance, coincidence, whatever. It doesn't sit well if you already believe something. And to try to tell somebody that not only they're not psychic, but that when they went to a psychic reading and supposedly their dead mother came through, that to try to tell them, no, that wasn't probably real, let's think about other options, they don't usually want to hear it.
Right.
So yeah.
They had that connection, and they have that. You get that feeling, that connection with someone that has passed, a loved one that passed, and you don't want to realize that it was probably fake,
or at least there's no good evidence that it wasn't. I'll put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. And then you get the people who take advantage of people. And we talked about this on my other appearance, so I don't want to go into in detail. But, having this belief leads people into possible catastrophe. And it's not a rare thing. The private eye I know gets 4 or 5 calls a day. And now it's even more with the pandemic, by the way, of people who've lost life savings to a psychic that they trusted, because they believed it and they did some magic trick, which reinforced the opinion that, they have powers, and they just kept taking money as much as they could possibly get.
That's so sad.
It's so sad.
So,
My initial pull into that was when I wrote an article about the subject, and someone Googled psychic fraud, found my email address, and sent me her court papers that she was forced to sue in civil court because it wasn't a criminal case in her jurisdiction in somewhere in New England. I don't remember where. She lost her whole life savings, $42,000. And she couldn't hire an attorney because she had no money left. They weren't going to make an arrest. She just had to try to win it in a civil case. And good luck with that.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So I guess as we're getting near the end of this discussion for this topic.
And the end of the hour.
Yeah. Pee break coming up soon, couple minutes.
I've been holding in. I'm glad to hear that.
This
is a big glass of amaretto.
Nice.
That is amaretto and what?
I love.
Well, so DiSarno, of course,
that's
and cranberry juice. Cranberry.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Okay.
I love amaretto, by the way.
Yeah. I used to drink bocce balls, which was an orange juice, but then I decided I like cranberry better.
Oh.
Bocce balls.
You can put.
Is that what it's called? Bocce
even
balls?
like
It's a game. It's an Italian game. Or
I just like saying bocce balls.
If you ever tried it with like Mountain Dew, oh my God.
No.
Oh. Oh, you have.
I don't like Mountain Dew. Sorry.
Oh my God, blasphemy.
You and Nick Little. Oh my goodness. Mountain
Dew. Okay, so I ran out of Coke or Pepsi, whatever I had, and I'm like, the only thing we had left was Mountain Dew. I'm like, let me try it.
What happens?
It was so friggin' good. It was like,
truthfully, I haven't had it since I was a teenager, so maybe it's worth a try again.
There you go.
Yeah, the next time you stop by, we'll slip you a shot.
Yeah, I'll let you try mine.
So I guess at the end of this, like the study's been out. It was published, I think, in Skeptic, right? The Australian Skeptic magazine. All the details. Right. Your article came out. What do you think what should be the takeaway from this? Like, if somebody comes up to you and goes, "All right, so what's the point?"
Well, yeah, I mean, as we say, we don't expect psychics to believe us or even believers of psychic, but it's just a little bit more evidence than there was before. We will say almost 100% sure, the largest, verification on data of its kind ever done. And, there's the database, there's the, verified predictions, and we show you what we thought and why with citations. So it's as close to science on the subject as you can get, probably. And it's something to point people towards, and it probably will be pointed to for a very long time, right? Because it's there's not been anything anywhere near this magnitude as far as we've ever heard done before. We were joking because when the Tuesdays ended after over a year and a half, it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do with Tuesdays? Let's start doing the Great America Psychic Prediction Project. But Australia has the population essentially of Florida. So if you were to extrapolate that to the United States, we would be at it for our whole lifetime. So with the number of psychics here, that's impossible.
I got a follow-up question because I wasn't sure, but the big events that were not predicted, like COVID-19, were they included in the percentages?
No.
Okay.
So that was after we were all said and done. We said, hey, we have some free days and we're used to doing this every Tuesday. What else could we do to help this along? And we just found that as a fascinating exercise. It was really just an exercise, right? Basically, and the way I put it was, if these people could predict relatively uneventful things, such as this item we scored as correct, South Australia, moderate showers will happen in March, then predicting the big 10 items we documented for each year of the project should have been a piece of cake. Here are the examples. So, yeah.
I mean, I think that makes a big deal. I mean, when you're talking about overall with the 5 categories that you had, and you only came up with 11% accuracy, and again, with the caveat that was
somewhat generous, in my opinion.
But adding in these major global events that happened that no one predicted, I mean, that's
the whole line. They didn't see it coming, which has become just a psychic meme joke. But it is freaking true. I mean, you can look at these signs of psychic fair canceled due to unforeseen circumstances on marquees for real. Mm-hmm. like Susan Gerbic did an article showing all America's favorite psychics who had events planned for the whole year, right, of 2020.
Yep.
Oh, canceled. Thomas John. Teresa Caputo. They had events scheduled for months and months and months, and then they had the nerve to turn. Oh no, we predicted the pandemic. Yeah. You didn't tell your scheduler agent.
Right. But overall, I mean, the takeaway, and we're going to go break in just a minute here, but the overall takeaway that I see from this is exactly what you said. It's showing such a low accuracy rate that if you're going to go to a psychic for relationship advice, for financial advice, for employment advice, for all this advice kind of thing, for any kind of life advice, think about that. 11% generous.
Now somebody could say, but my psychic is different. And often that happens. I've had that in real life. Yeah. Right. Oh, these people are just TV for the show, and they want notoriety. But my psychic, she keeps undercover. She doesn't need the money. She's for real. Right. So my thing on that is then get them to apply to the $250,000 CIF challenge and give the money to freaking children's cancer. Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't need the money, supposedly, right, you don't want to give it to the kids. If you can do this so easily, prove it. And then if they prove it, you can go to them for relationship advice or financial advice.
I agree. And that's been my go-to. I go talk to Jim Underdown. If you're afraid of him, I'll talk to him for you. I know.
And then you get $5,000.
Exactly. I'm in it for me. I'm looking for the kickback. But
and there used to be the Randy $1 Million Challenge, and he retired, and JRF close to that end. But still, there's a Wikipedia page list of paranormal challenges. They add up to more than $1 million globally. So, if you really have powers of any kind, not just psychic, you can douse for water, you can do Reiki healing, anything that goes against our understanding of science and physics, you can freaking become a millionaire easily. Or, like I said, give it to a children's charity.
Right. And that's always been my argument. If you don't want to, if your first excuse is, I don't need the money.
Yep.
Well, first of all, probably because you're making a lot of money scamming people. I get it. But as you said, you can take that big chunk of prize money and you can donate it to a worthy cause. Yeah. Kids with cancer, all these charities that could really benefit.
Give it to the people of Ukraine right now for what's going on.
Yeah, stuff like that.
And then the second thing is, beside the money,
you
would freaking literally turn physics. You would be written in every history book forever, right? You turn physics on its head by proving there is this magical thing that science didn't know about.
There's your legacy. There's your legacy forever. You're the one that changed the mind of the world.
Yeah. But no, most of these people are just, no, I feel happy just telling my friend that the grandmother likes how they're doing in the afterlife and thinks their hairstyle is looking real good.
All right, we're gonna jump in 5 minutes early to our pee break for everyone because
5 minutes early.
5 minutes early, yeah, because I know he gotta go.
Okay,
I gotta
shake
go.
the box one
We
more
all gotta
time,
go.
and
All
we'll do the box before we get back into questions. How about that?
We'll shake the box, and we will reveal it after the break.
Shake the box. Did you hear anything?
You can't hear it.
Yeah.
So that should be a clue.
So after the pee break, that's all I'm taking there.
Okay, so we're gonna do a break here. We're gonna have 3 minutes or so to.
And what are we going to talk about when we come back, Kenny?
we're gonna take some questions because I know
we do have questions.
We have about 5 questions. So if you guys have questions for Rob, and the topic that we were talking about, this is the time. Go pee, fill up your cup, come back, put a question up, and we'll get to them. And we'll do some questions, and then if we have time, we might jump into the Havana syndrome a little bit.
Ooh.
We might dive into that a little bit.
Ooh, do people know what Havana syndrome is? I want to see people writing about that in the chat.
That's a bonus topic. So, all right, here we go. We got a break in 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, this is my store based on the theme of science and skepticism. It's here that you can find all kinds of shirts and hoodies, yoga pants, tote bags, the fanny packs I know you guys love, masks and pillows, all with science and skepticism as the theme. I even have hoodies for your pets. That's right, your dog or cat can wear one of these things. I also have a general store that sells more inspirational quotes or, drinking stuff because I like that kind of thing. I also have a store set up for our 3 Tortured Souls podcast, which we do Saturday nights. You can find shirts and Tim Vickers' favorite drinking vessel, the mug. I also have a store tailored a little bit more towards my ghost hunting friends, Paranormal by I Am Kenny Biddle. These are shirts and quotes that are a little bit more on the ghost hunting side, especially this one, Translucent Perished Beings. Ghost. That's my favorite. So if you're interested, head on over to teespring.com/stores/scientific skepticism by IAKB and check it out.
Are you tortured by what you see and hear about the paranormal field? Join us as we critically examine and question paranormal claims, science, ghosts, demons, cryptids, UFOs, ghost hunting technology, and much more are all on the table for discussion. 3 Tortured Souls is a video podcast that streams live on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 Pacific. 3 Tortured Souls.
All right, we are back. Everyone feel better? I hope. I do.
I should in a few minutes.
You should. What?
Takes
You should.
Takes a
Oh
while.
yeah, Donna's still in pain.
Oh.
How did you hurt yours? You did it bowling, right?
I actually don't. Usually, sometimes my knuckle gets a little red from bowling, like because of the bowling ball.
Drunken
Like I
escapade
don't hold it right. I threw the ball last night and
didn't let go.
I just
Went
went
down the
with
lane. Bam.
No, I came back and I went to just move my hand and I got this shooting pain up my arm.
Oh boy.
It went from my ring right up through my wrist, like a nerve pain, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" And then within a half. I mean, I kept bowling, but within like a half hour, like after the second game, I was like, my fingers started swelling up. So I was like, take me out. I'm not bowling. And then,
Donna, do you know that bowling, the game of bowling, was invented by a chiropractor
really?
to drum a business?
That's how
For
he
the
gets
whole
all his money. Yeah. Dude, I love bowling. And it's so nice to go every week. Like some of the people in my league are like almost 90 years old. And to see them get up and actually bowl, it's like
Not break a hip.
yeah, I mean, at least they're getting out and they're having fun. And I just
All right.
enjoy it.
You ready? You ready to reveal
Well,
this?
no,
I saw some
because I just
guesses.
have to make sure I got all the guesses.
You got all the guesses?
Yeah, let me guess.
What do you think's in here, Rob?
I'm sticking with a rubber ball of some
Take a
sort.
rubber ball. Okay.
Let me just go back before I read some of
I
these
see your
guesses.
I see some. I see. I'm going to read out the.
Well,
the,
here,
the
no, I
later
have a whole
ones.
page of them. Here we go.
I got to read something because I don't like dead air.
Oh, well, I'm reading it right now.
Okay.
So these are all from before. I didn't get any new. So if anybody put it up, you lost.
I'll read them.
Ghost detector, marshmallows, John's missing H. We're still missing John's H.
we have a John in the room that doesn't have an H in his name, so he is known as John without an H.
Yeah, John's missing H is on the list. Kenny's W2.
No comment.
Feather, Q-tip, cotton balls. John says the thing that takes away John's H. John without an H said that.
Freaks.
Playing cards, Godzilla. Bob's comment was atmosphere because you told him he couldn't say air.
Dick.
A magazine, second box, a Star Trek communicator,
Ooh.
a KN95 mask, Bob's energy,
Drink.
the direction on how to cut a sandwich.
Oh my god!
That would have been perfect.
So that was
been
an
perfect,
inside
John.
joke. I was in a debate today about
Energy.
the way
everybody
you
drink.
cut a sandwich, either straight or diagonal, and the idea that you get more
if you cut it
from
diagonally.
the diagonal cut. I'm like, it's the same fucking sandwich. What are you talking about? I eat the whole thing. I don't cut it. Amateurs. All right, are we good?
Kenny's prediction that I would write this comment.
Nope.
And then the RSVP to the Biddle party, which I didn't realize we were having one, but it should come up. I mean,
Are
we
we
really,
invited?
I know we should have a party.
We should have a party.
I think this summer would be
we
a
should
great,
have a Skeptical Help Bar party and
yeah,
invite everyone.
celebrate
our
birthdays
locals.
and anniversaries that are
Our
coming up
locals
this
that
year.
come out. Yeah.
And then maybe
Celebrate
we could
what?
birthdays and
Oh.
anniversaries that are coming up this
Someone's
year.
turning 50 next month.
It ain't me.
You're still a youngin'.
I still am. Wait till I shave the beard and then I look like a little kid again.
Yeah. And then we'll be married 25 years this year.
Oh my
That's a big one.
Yeah.
You guys
All right, we
believe that
caught up?
shit?
We
25
caught up?
fucking years. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm caught up unless
Let's see. We have a feather. It's empty. Kenny's last sanity. It's air. Shut up, John Kennedy. And I think that's it. That's all
Yeah,
the guesses I saw. right.
afterwards. Okay.
All right. And there's another question I saw. Pop it up. I'm just helping you out.
Look, see, Tim says it's diagonal.
Diagonal.
Although
No.
you can't spell diagonal, Tim.
All right. Ready? So we're going to open it up. You don't hear anything, but here we go. You ready?
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh,
It's a
flamingo.
it's
The
a
flamingo?
CSI flamingo from
Yeah.
the Last Icon
Yep.
because we stayed at the Flamingo.
In Vegas. We stayed there. So they sold these. It was like a charity thing.
Yes, yes.
You bought this and the money went to it's some kind of
I lost all my money gambling, so I couldn't afford one of those.
I don't gamble. I
No.
hate
I'm only kidding. So
I-
John Kennedy said my mic is hot. I just put it back on automatic. Is this any better, people? Is this
that
better?
sounds yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, don't worry. I think we might schedule a party, guys. And if you guys can't make it, maybe we can do some kind of like remote viewing thing or something.
Ooh.
That would be kind of fun, huh?
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some questions. What do you got for me, Donna?
Well, hello. Give me a sec. It won't let me hit the thing.
Oh no! What are
Why
you doing?
it won't? Oh, here we go. Okay, here.
Here, start. Okay.
Here we go.
All right, John Guy, Rob, how do you respond to people say debunking psychics is going after soft targets? Skepticism is better spent on bigger targets.
Hi, John.
John without an H2.
So yeah,
Oh yes.
I have heard people in the skeptical movement talk down about pretty much every aspect of a particular thing, which is a little bit disconcerting. There's a fallacy called the fallacy of relative privation, which is like there's nothing worse than the problems I think are bad. Only my problems should be worked on, and whatever. So people did this 3 or 4 years ago. Everyone should ignore the flat earthers because it doesn't matter. There are skeptics who left the skeptical movement because not only psychics. Why are we worrying about UFOs and Bigfoot and homeopathy when the big thing is social justice? There's a big split in the movement with that. I just got to say, it's important for people to be interested in. I don't like the word debunking necessarily, but like investigating the things they're interested in investigating, because you're not going to get them to go after things they're not interested in, right? Like if Kenny were forced to only investigate homeopathy, I think he'd be off the air. It's not his thing. So I don't think they're soft. And if that means they're easier than other things, but I've heard that a lot. There's a big argument in the Wikipedia community regarding, there was actually a quote, "Everyone knows psychics are fake. Why are you even bothering to put information to the contrary on these people's pages in Wikipedia?" It's like, no, like 40-50% of the population believes they're absolutely real. Not everyone believes they're fake. And then to the other aspect of soft target is it's easy to prove they're wrong. That was also said. Anyone can easily prove they're wrong. Well, then why isn't anybody, right? People who are not in the skeptical movement don't do this. Like the New York Times doesn't write articles. You don't see it in scientific journals. Let's prove psychics are fake. JAMA doesn't write reports on that. Really, there's no one else to do it.
Right. And I mean, because I get accused of this often because I deal with mostly ghost stories or photos or videos or, any of the topics that I delve into. And my response is that no one else is doing it. Well, there's a few people to do it. Ben Radford, Joe Nickel. But not everyone is doing it. And as you said, there's a lot of people out there that believe this is true, believe these things are true. Psychics and ghosts and demons and UFOs and flat earth and all kinds of fringe topics. And they invest a lot of money into this and a lot of emotion and time.
And frankly, it leads to more harmful beliefs, right? Maybe it won't really hurt your life if you believe ghosts are real, if you don't believe Bigfoot is, unless you get drunk on a Bigfoot hunt and shoot your friend, but because he's tall.
I haven't gotten that far.
Other than that,
drunk on a Bigfoot hunt.
but any kind of beliefs that is not reached by critical thinking leads your thought processes, if you don't understand, you're thinking badly about things, can lead you to worse things like, joining QAnon and protesting vaccines and storming the Capitol building because the election was stolen, to get political. And it's all part of a bigger problem. And I think people, hitting at the targets, soft or not, that they are interested in shedding light on helps everybody.
I think you nailed it. If it's you okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm fine.
If we can approach this from topics that other people are interested in. So I'm interested in fringe topics, paranormal topics, weird stuff, weird shit. And I know a lot of other people that are too. And if I can approach it from their topics and they're going to read my articles, they're going to watch my videos and say, oh, well, he's tackling the Amityville case, or he's going after this particular UFO that was taken by a fighter pilot.
UAP.
Yeah. Let me look at that. Let me see what he has to say. And even if they don't agree with me, that's fine. But at least they read it and they start thinking about it, maybe, and get some tips here and there. And that kind of thing grows. So I'm gonna share a real short story. I'm gonna be very vague with this because it's a friend of mine but she reached out to me about a week ago and told me that they were taking part in a kind of ghost hunt kind of weekend, and someone started doing table tipping. And the focus of the table tipping was my friend's friend that had passed away. And the person that was in charge of table tipping got this information. So they were asking questions and this and that. And table tipping, if you don't know, it's a table. It's literally a table that tips. Almost like a Ouija board effect. It's the ideomotor effect, but you can make the table move back and forth, and it symbolizes like yes or no, or answers questions. So the person in charge was kind of making this entire experience like the spirit of my friend's friend was there answering questions. And it was very emotional and very, very heartbreaking almost, this whole situation. And she reached out to me to ask, is this real? You know, what's behind it? And we got on a private call, and we spent like an hour and a half. Donna was with us. And I mean, we went through all the details and looking at video that she took and really deconstructing it and picking out where somebody was actually manipulating the table, and then the information that they appeared to know. But once we went back and reviewed it, they really didn't know anything. They were doing cold reading. So all of this information actually ended up helping her, because she realized like this was completely fake. And the whole situation was, it was very heartbreaking. I know I'm being vague, and I apologize, but it's a friend that it's a personal story, so I don't want to give details. But my investigations, my information and knowledge in that topic, even though it's a soft topic, was able to benefit someone and give them information and tips that they can use later on. The next time they had that experience, they can go into it thinking, well, I think I know this. And I also gave her ways to block it. So she can try that and see if it works. And when it does, because I'm really confident it does, she'll realize even more, okay, this isn't real. And she'll be better for it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was good. All right, so this is we really took a long time with that question.
That's okay. I mean,
yeah, it's good
it
though.
was a good answer.
Hopefully, it answered the question. What else we got? John Kennedy, did they predict cold fusion as well?
Well, that would have been a wrong prediction if they did. I don't recall seeing that in the database.
Okay. That was short and sweet. I made up for the long answer. John Guy, question. Did your team compare psychics who made contradictory predictions?
Do you mean like the same psychic who in one journal said, you know, team A is going to win the World Series, and another one went and said team B, so they would be right someplace? Or yeah, I don't know.
Hey, that would be brilliant.
That would be brilliant. I didn't particularly, we didn't look for that, and I didn't notice that. But I guess if you could also mean if one group of psychics said team A would win and another group of psychics said team B would win. Yeah, then somebody is also going to be 50% right. That actually probably was likely, but no, we didn't key in on that and look for that.
Okay. Well, that's good. We're blowing through these questions. That's good. How do they score below chance? How do they score below chance?
I think
percentages.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly what chance would be, right? It depends how many predictions you make of a certain type.
Right.
Like if they're all sports predictions, you know, and it's come down to two teams and you're just predicting the final game, you should be pretty much 50-50. You know, if it's the beginning of a season, there's 12 teams and you predict one of them, it should be 1 out of 12. That you could tell. But these were so, you know, so scattered in different subjects. I don't know that it would be possible to do that. But one interesting thing was, and this wasn't part of my team's effort to do the scoring, but Richard mentioned that early on, a team who was putting together the information made predictions for the coming year. I don't have the details on this because I wasn't part of it. I don't remember that. But it was basically, okay, let's us make predictions for this year. And I think they did like way better than the 11%. It was something like 20%. But then again, they were rating themselves. So yeah, there's the whole question about how accurate was that score.
Okay.
But I think the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe people do that, right? At the end of the year show or the beginning of the year, they go through some.
Oh yeah. Somebody did that.
Each
I
one
remember.
picks a psychic they like to follow, and then they also make predictions and score themselves for what the year. And they're always better than the psychics were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ross and Carrie do like their own predictions too, or they go back and look at the last year's predictions.
That makes sense.
And then I actually tried JD, who he was in the chat room. I don't know if he's still there. JD and I actually tried to do this for a year, but I blame mostly myself. But we tried to keep up with a psychic that was making predictions for the following year, and then tried to keep track. He did much better than I did, but I think we both got distracted and on the other projects, and it fell through. So maybe we'll do it.
So good at
yeah,
it.
I know. I get distracted easily. Squirrel.
Another thing that Saunders pointed out in his article, I don't think I touched on it in mine, but I do want to mention it because it's important. If people had psychic powers, we would be living in a different world than we live in, right? If people could do this with any assurance, the stock market couldn't work. OTB would have to close down because the casinos couldn't work because these businesses go on a certain percent. They know what the odds are and they make it so that they're going to come out ahead. If someone could beat those kinds of things easily, those industries couldn't survive, and we don't see that happening. And another thing is, how would this work if a psychic told you, you're going, I see you taking this job. So, go to this place and have this interview. Well, then what if you don't go for the interview and you don't get the job? Like, where did that information come to them from the future that you got that job? It sets up the science fiction kind of paradox stuff, which makes no sense in the real world.
Right. Yeah. When you predict Hillary Clinton is going to be the president.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come through. What
Right. Well, what they might have said, well, circumstances change because I made that. It would be like, Back to the Future, because I did something.
Oh, all right. So like
then reality changed, and now we're living in a different reality. Well, you can just make up any bullshit.
And then we're in the multiverse and Marvel takes over.
Exactly. That's the reason my predictions don't come true, because I'm seeing another universe.
Exactly.
Yeah. Deadpool's making cameos everywhere. I don't know. I mean, I would love that. That would be great if Deadpool just.
Kenny Biddle is the president, and not Joe.
Oh my goodness! It would be such a different world if I was president.
I think in a different multiverse you are.
Yeah, probably.
That's why you have this big, huge screen every week. You're president. You're announcing.
President Kenny.
You could come out to your press conference with the Thanos glove on.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm going to take care of you, Russia, right now.
Done. Okay. Got any other questions? Yep. Awesome. John Kennedy, what are your thoughts on the Stargate project from the military and near-death experiences? Wow. Pumping in 2 questions on one there, John.
I don't know if I'm familiar with Stargate. Is that Project Alpha or is that something else?
Project Stargate was the government's attempt at remote viewing.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ray Hyman kind of was involved with that and kind of shut it down.
Well, you don't mean he physically?
No, because he gave his report. Yeah.
What's interesting is I have met psychics on Zoom who said they point to stuff like that proof their psychic power. Well, about Project, I didn't remember the name. That was it. The CIA uses remote viewing. No, I don't think I know that. Until I just retired, I had security clearance. So this is an important point too. Why it's not likely they're really psychic powers. At least that the U.S. government doesn't think they're psychic powers, because when you go for your renewal to be verified, you go through training all the time, and you get asked questions, and you get told these are the things you have to do, and these are the things you have to report to us if they happen. One of which is if you're approached on vacation by somebody asking about your job, right? First off, don't do that. Don't talk about your job with anybody. And if it goes to a certain point, you have to report it to us, and they will investigate those people, right? Do you think if the government knew there were psychic powers, they would have a little caveat? You are not allowed to go visit a psychic for a psychic reading. You're not allowed to go to a studio where a psychic is giving readings. No, that's not in there anywhere. Why wouldn't that be in there if the government knew about psychics? If Project Stargate was real, it's such BS.
Yeah, I mean, I've read up a little bit. I'm not an expert on it. I'm not well versed, but I do know that it was for a time they were trying to find military targets, and it just doesn't seem. It was pretty much like any kind of cold reading. It was vague statements describing areas that they couldn't actually see, but it didn't provide any
long, flat, like sandy-like area.
There's the voice from nowhere.
Yeah, and it was also because we were told the Russians were doing it, or the Soviets at the time. And yeah, we had to keep up with them. If they're doing it, they're spending money, it must be real. We have to figure it out too and spend money on it. I mean, that's kind of why it was done. But it's interesting because just the fact that the U.S. government spent money on it is used as evidence by people who believe this, that it had to be real. Because why would the U.S. government waste money on anything? You know,
yeah.
And the second part of this question, I guess, is separate. Near-death experiences, I assume that's the ND. So, yeah. So, again, as an agent for recovering from religion, that's one of the things that sometimes holds people in a religion because they've heard these NDE stories, and they have to believe that how could that not be real? So, one of my go-tos is tell them to listen to the debate on Intelligence Squared. That's a good Intelligence Squared debate. You can Google that. And the subject was, is death final? So they put that organization puts on debates in a studio where all the audience members, hundreds of them, have little paddles that they're asked before the debate begins what their stance is. Is death final? Yes or no, right? And then after the debate, they're asked again. And I have seen a lot of these debates, and that debate swung so far into the, yeah, death is final. Sorry, NDEs aren't real trips anywhere. I have never seen a swing in an audience as much as I've seen in that one debate. And it wasn't like they threw up anybody. The people arguing that NDEs represented a real view of the afterlife were the people who made the term up. Raymond Moody, who invented the term near-death experience. And Eben Alexander, who wrote the book, I think, Heaven is Real. He was a neurosurgeon who, previous to himself having a near-death experience, was not on that side of it, but then he had a total conversion, wrote a book. Yes, it is. It's real. There's an afterlife. So those two guys were debating, Sean Carroll and Steve Novella. And the scientists won.
Was that on one? Where was that on one of their shows?
It's called Intelligence Squared Debates.
I just put the link in the chat room
the other thing.
for it. So if people want to go check it out, I'm going to check it out because that's interesting.
Yeah, I need to. I want to see that.
All right, cool. I mean, near-death experiences for me. I mean, I've read some of the literature on it. I don't find it convincing myself, but I mean, I still have people debating and bringing me more and more information. The problem is that I don't have time to look into every case. That's the problem, and it really is a problem because you can't group all these together. And this is a common thing, and I'm sure you've come across it, where it's like, well, I've looked into this one case and I have explanations for this. And they're like, well, okay, but how about this one?
How about this one?
Yeah, right. And how about this one? How about this one? I don't have an answer for you on that one. I can't comment because I didn't read that. I need to read material. And that goes back to what you said in the beginning, I think early in the show, where it's so much easier to like believe something than to fight a belief. You see
and these are beliefs that people want to have, right? It's not a comforting thing. Sorry, your life is 70, 80, 90 years if you're lucky, and that's it. You don't get to see your relatives again after they've passed. That's not a happy story. But like Carl Sagan said something like, I'd much rather believe in the universe the way it is than the delusion, no matter how satisfying. He said it more poetically, but something like that. And that's my perspective on it. It would be great if that stuff was real, if there was evidence to say so, but there's not. It seems it's people making stuff up because they want to believe it.
Yeah, I agree. It's I think that's what most religious beliefs come from. That need to believe something happens other than what we can control. And that's where you get the afterlife. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm going to find out when I get there.
Or not. That's always a religious threat. You'll find out when you die. Not necessarily.
Yeah. No, because if there's nothing there, there's nothing to find out.
Don't worry, I'll come back and I will haunt your ass. If I die first.
Wait, was that it? Was that against me, Donna?
I'll haunt both of you.
All right. Moving on. What else we got?
Okay, let's go to this one.
John Michael says, what's your opinion about psychic empaths, Rob? I mean, we can probably guess your opinion. Would just like to hear you expound on
John
it.
Michael, I don't think I know what that means. What is a psychic empath?
What is it? Psychic empath. I believe an empath is one that shares feelings or senses your feelings. And it's empathy. It's having empathy for somebody. But they take it to the next level and attach some kind of metaphysical.
So why? Yeah. Some people are more empathetic than others. Why would some people could watch the news about what's happening in Ukraine and it's just it's another news story, and other people burst into tears. My wife is a therapist and she has clients who can't take it. But why does it need to be psychic? What makes this a psychic?
Exactly.
Thing? I don't get it.
I mean, I can sit on the couch and watch a TV show where like a little boy's puppy runs away or gets hit by a car, and I'll cry.
Yeah.
I can relate through empathy with the character, like losing a puppy or something like that. And I mean, it doesn't mean I'm psychic. It doesn't mean or if I'm in a crowd or talking to a friend and I get the sense that they are feeling bad or depressed or angry. It's not because I have some psychic power that I can sense their feelings. I'm taking contextual cues from them.
I mean, I think somebody who's empathetic, maybe the better word, can play or come to believe they're psychic just for that reason. They have these feelings and they're in tune with someone else and they get confirmation about that, and that would give them reinforcement. Doesn't mean it's anything that's paranormal at all, I would think.
So John gives us clarification here. A psychic empathy claims such things as saying they can detect energy in rooms from events that have happened in the past, so they can feel how spurts. Come on, John. What are you drinking? Spirits feel.
I want some. Spirits feel. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I mean, the energy. Isn't there something about taking a drink if you hear the word energy?
Yes, that's why I just took a drink.
Drinking,
yeah, there you go.
Drink, take a puff, whatever.
Yeah, no. So there's no energy like that physics knows anything about. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and you know what? I've talked about this. Actually, on the other podcast I do Saturday nights, 3 Tortured Souls, we've talked about this, about going into a room. Especially if you're on a ghost hunt, specifically, if you're on a ghost hunt, you're going in through these historic places and you walk into a room that has specific decor. And it might be from like Gothic. It might be dark. It might be very low lighting. You get these contextual cues of like, wow, this is a dark place. And it literally is because it lacks lighting. But you walk in there and think, oh, it's dark.
Has anyone ever asked? They must have. Like, why do they always do ghost hunting in the dark? Like, why don't ghosties come out when it's light out?
I mean, that's something that's come up so many times, and I think the best answer, the number one reason is convenience, because people do things during the day or they work during the day. If they do like a Friday night investigation, it's because it's after work and they go there.
It's Friday.
Same thing with the weekends. Some of these places that are pay to play to get in, they're public places, so they're open during the day for tours and for walking through or for business. So when they close up after 5, that's when they allow people in. So it's always going to be at night because that's when it's empty or available. I think that's the number one reason why. Plus, it's cool. It lets you use night vision. So you get that green tint over your screen. And it looks really freaky. Shit like that.
And you get goosebumps because you're empathetic to other people being frightened. So you become frightened too.
Yeah.
And then that magnifies your senses, and things which in the broad daylight would not be concerning all of a sudden become, mysterious.
Right. And of course, you got the accomplice that is dressed all in black and can hide in the dark much easier and throw shit all around, make noises, stomp up the stairs.
Yeah, turn a phone on and off.
Turn a phone, key up a microphone or a walkie-talkie so all your little ghost hunting gadgets go off and light up and shit.
People don't do that. I
do. I love it. I love going to public events and just sitting there with my walkie-talkie going click, click, click. Watch them all get excited. All right. Bob. Hey, Bob. He asks, did you predict a low percentage for those predictions? And if so, do you count that as a win?
No, we didn't. We didn't do an initial, but that would have been interesting. It would have just been a blind guess if we did that. So no, we did not do that though.
I mean, that would have been my guess. That really would have been my guess. Like, yeah, I think
it's fun that you're predicting the guesses of a prediction.
I predict a low accuracy. I will never forget last year. Was it last year at Para Unity?
Yeah.
I think we were at that conference last year.
Yeah, we were there.
And
I don't know what you're trying to say.
It was the first year. So there's a ghost hunting conference called Para Unity. And last year was the first year they let me set up. And I know they were kind of like, they were hesitant because I was skeptic. I have my skeptic booth and they're not used to that. I am friends with the organizer, and after talking a little bit, he was like, all right, you know what, come on out. So I set up, and right across from me, so in the aisle, right across from me, there's a psychic sitting there. And she puts a handwritten sign. Like, she literally took a piece of paper out of a notebook and wrote on it. And it was like, accuracy, 95%. And I'm staring at it like, my face is almost turning red because I'm like, I so want to go over and ask.
It was like she was like egging him to come over.
You're staring me in the face saying you got 95% accuracy rate. I so want to be like, where's that fucking number coming from?
So, all right. So here's another one of these accurate predictions, which I missed last time. This is from 2020. Joe Biden will be nominated for the U.S. presidency, but will drop out before the election, and Donald Trump will win a second term. There you go.
Oh, there's a good one.
Wow. So yeah. I mean,
So regarding somebody you meet in person, this is a somewhat interesting story. Right before the pandemic started, maybe before we did our Red Bank talk, whenever the big anniversary of Woodstock was, a friend of my wife's is in a band, and they did a Woodstock reunion anniversary party. So we were the guests at his table. So consequently, we knew nobody else at this place because my wife hasn't known this guy for like 30 years. And we're sitting right next to the band. So we couldn't hear anything hardly either. So we're sitting at the table. We got there early, and a woman with, I think she was alone, sits down next to my wife on the opposite side of me. And they got into a conversation, and they were talking quite a bit. I was just one more person away, but I couldn't hear anything because of the music. So I never talked to this woman. So my wife and I got up to dance at some point, and she said, "Oh my God, I got to tell you about this person, but not now, not till it's over." I said, "Well, tell me." No, I can't do that. So it goes on for another hour, whatever. And then we leave. And then she goes, she gave me her business card. She's a psychic medium who does past life regression. And she said, "You seem like a wonderful person." Speaking about me, she wanted to get together with us.
You should have.
No, but it was gone. She was gone. She didn't tell me until she left the freaking party.
Oh,
well, you have her card. Oh, you got it.
She would not give it to me. She would not give it to me.
Why?
Go get your wife. Get her on here right now. We need to talk to her. We need to set stuff.
You need the card.
You need to go on the cover.
She wrote my wife an email later. "Oh, I didn't hear from you. I'd still like to get together with you." Yeah.
Rob, you got to do that.
Give it to me.
Yeah, send her Penny's way.
I'll go steal it.
So I'm just saying, she wasn't that intuitive. If she was sitting one person away from me and thought I'd be a great person to talk to about, her career choice.
Yeah, you were not a great person to talk to.
And she apparently was some like executive in a big industry, and she resigned because she realized she had the powers to do this, and she wanted to help people.
So this might be the alcohol talking, but I think what she actually did was realize she could make a shit ton of more money doing psychic predictions and psychic readings than what she was doing at her normal job.
Could be.
Because it's big business.
I can't tell. I'm not a mind reader.
Well, no. We check facts. All right. What else we got? We got more?
Yeah, John Kennedy's trying to be funny, though.
John Kennedy.
Like, where'd that fucking come from all of a sudden? John Kenny just gave you the finger for me.
I got your pink bird right here. All right. Darren. Am I saying that right? Darren. It's like French. Duran.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Old English? I don't know. I'm sorry, Darren. What do you think about Nostradamus predictions for 2020?
I'm unaware that Nostradamus made predictions for any particular year.
Did he? Let's see. Oh my God, Nostradamus. I'm totally going to do that. Predictions.
I know there was one that was going crazy around the internet after the 9/11 attacks. That was supposedly from Nostradamus predicting what happened. He
said it's not French, Kenny.
And it was not. Actually, it was somebody who faked it. It wasn't a Nostradamus prediction.
All right, so let me see. Except this is from the History Channel. Well, you know it's accurate there. Let's see. Here are just a few of his predictions for 2022. Let's see. This is freaking History Channel. They're like, here are just a few of his predictions that we should look for in 2022. And then we start off the next sentence with 2021 was a busy year. I don't give a shit about 2021. I want to know about war, invasion of France.
Oh,
let's see. It's very difficult to pin down exact dates with his predictions, but they're based on astrological movements. Oh my God, they're bringing astrology into Nostradamus. That's just a bad combination. So they're saying the invasion of France by a threat from the east is a recurring theme. And they predicted it for 2022.
Oh, I see. So they're perhaps being due. I'm Googling it too in 20. So what they're doing is retrodicting. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So you're looking at some vague statement and you're saying, "Ooh, this could happen now." So that's not a prediction for 2022. It's an open-ended prediction with no date assigned to it, and therefore, and then this is how Bible predictions work too, right? There's no dates or specifics, but if something is happening that you can kind of fit, sort of, if you stretch it and look in the dark at it, and then you say, see, that's what the prediction was about. Okay. That happens all the time. I didn't know they were doing it with Nostradamus, but that makes sense.
Global warming, which is that's been in the news for years now.
Decades, yeah.
Oh, rise of artificial intelligence.
The
Matrix. Matrix is coming.
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet. Oh my God. Technology has evolved so much over the last few decades that it's hard to predict when developments blah blah blah. So yeah, when you go into these predictions, and I use that term loosely, it's almost like poetry that you're reading. It's not.
And he wrote in poetic quatrains, so definitely poetry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's you can interpret this stuff in any way that you want. And I agree with John there that if you look up his misses, it's so much more than his predictions are coming true. So he's probably in line with the 11%.
Yeah, I actually frankly doubt it's that high because he didn't even do anything as specific as these the psychics we looked at, who gave names and places and
right.
Yeah. A war shall happen from the east.
Yeah. All right. Nostradamus. That was good.
Oh, extra points for that.
All right, what else we got? Divine Donna, can you talk about astral projection?
Yeah, my friend claimed to be able to do that. I worked with somebody who one of these days is going to watch something I'm interviewed on and get really pissed that I talk about him. But I don't use his name. He'll know who I mean. Yeah, we worked at the big defense company, and he was everything that was paranormal he believed. Maybe except, I don't know, is Flat Earth paranormal? I don't think he was a Flat Earther, but everything else. Pretty much everything else. So, yeah, he thought he can astral project. And I agreed to do a test with him. I just wanted to debunk him. Let's do a test, right? Explain what happens when you astral project. I go to sleep. I wind up seeing places in my friends' houses, buildings I've never been in, museums across the world. Okay. Can you control it? I think so. Sometimes I've gone to places I thought of. Okay. Here's my address. I am going to put 4 playing cards face up on top of my entertainment center, which is almost at the ceiling. It's very high. He's never been to my house. Unless he breaks in when I'm not here, there'll be a very odd chance he would find them. Nope. All of a sudden his powers went away. I don't know, Rob. I can't do it anymore. I've been trying every night. We left it for 3 months, and then I gave up.
Wow. I tried because back right after high school, a friend of mine, Dana, we were really close friends, and we bought a book together called Astral Projection, and I think I still have it. It's on my shelf. It's How to Astral Project Yourself, and I read through it first, and the deal was like I would come visit her, and she would have something like in her, because we were both living at home. I mean, it was right after high school, so she would have something set up that I could see, like a special test object. And man, that was still in my believing stage. So I was so into it. And every night I was like laying in bed, like, all right, here we go. Silver thread. Don't let the silver thread break, because then I'm dead. Okay. All right. Weeks
Silver
I spent.
thread? You have to follow.
Well, yeah,
thread?
your astral projection
Comes out of your body and follows your spirit. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
and there's like
don't pull the thread too hard.
there's a silver thread that connects your astral
to keep
self
you
to your physical body.
Oh, got it.
And I was like, I'm thinking like, I want to see what the silver thread looks like. Is it like is it shiny?
Yeah.
Like, is it like regular thread, or is it like rope? Like, yeah, like thread's pretty like not strong. I don't want to just float away.
But it's just your spirit, so it's real light and fluffy.
But I didn't. Yeah, I am fluffy, but I'm not light. I'm kind of heavy.
It's your spirit.
I know, but it was weird. But I tried for several weeks and nothing came of it.
Nothing.
So
I met a scientist at SciCon, and it's irking me because I've been trying to think of it for at least a half a minute, and I can't think of her name. I feel bad about that. I actually got her book, and it's on this subject. She, was a young hippie and was going
right. Susan
what?
Blackmore.
Say
Susan
again?
Blackmore.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right. So I went to her presentation. She was trying to prove it was real because she had these experiences and dreams and whatever. And then she came out of it. No, it's not real. It's like you investigate this. It's not real. And she wrote a book about that subject.
What do you do if you actually like a red thread?
If you have a red
If you
thread,
have red thread,
I would think that is reason to panic, John.
Yes.
I would. I'm thinking that
I wouldn't.
You might want to change your ways.
I would look down and be like, well, yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
that fits. I don't
Oh,
know.
wait. Somebody asked, what are my thoughts on the prophecies of the Bible? Very interesting. I was asked to do a presentation on that specific subject. I've never done it. I have to come up with, do a lot of investigation and look into it. But my initial thoughts on hearing this discussed at a lot of atheist call-in shows when theists use prophecy as their reason they believe in the Christian God. It's like it does not seem to hold any water. I mean, the ones that they give are a lot like the Nostradamus predictions, and they're very vague. They fall into several categories, or there's something which probably was known about when they actually wrote the New Testament, like that actually happened. So yeah, I'm going to write that it fulfills this prophecy because I know about that prophecy. And that was done for Jesus, as he rode into on an ass, because that's what it said in the Old Testament. So, don't know he really did that. But it was written in the New Testament that he did, and it could have been because They were trying to prove that Jesus fulfilled the prophecy of the Old Testament. The one that gets brought up as a concrete example is another category, is Israel. That's a big one, right? Like Israel was formed, and there's some terms in the Old Testament about the Hebrews will be disbanded to the earth and they'll come back as a state of their own. Okay, that's a pretty good hit, but it was vague. There wasn't a time frame and that kind of thing. It was very flowery language, so it could have been metaphorical. It turned out to be true. But the reason that doesn't really hold a lot of water is because Christians had a lot of participation in making that happen, right? They knew that was a prophecy, and it would be really good for them if they could make it happen, and they did, right? The Western powers made Israel a state. It wasn't like it magically appeared.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't something that just happened to happen and no one had control over it.
Right. Exactly.
People did have control over this.
Right. It's like I've heard like, well, if I tell the waiter, I want a steak well done, and he comes out half hour later with a steak well done, was that a prophecy? He did what I told him.
I want a
I'm
steak,
hungry
but I
now.
don't want it well done. I want it medium.
Now I want to go out and get a steak.
Medium rare.
All right.
Salami
We're
steak
getting
and
close. We're getting close to
loaded
the end
baked
here.
potato.
Got a couple. Stop talking about food. It's making me hungry. Can't talk about food to a drunk fat guy. John Kennedy, is there any paranormal that has impressed you, even if it was just for a fleeting moment? Think long and hard on that, but not too long because I don't like dead air. Dead air.
I don't know. That is a tough one. It is weird that I guess it depends on the time frame, right? I was very impressed when I was a teenager. I believed in all this stuff.
Right.
I believed in biorhythms. I must have wasted hours and months and years tracking my biorhythms because I thought it was meaningful in some way. I did believe in UFOs. I don't know if that's quite paranormal, but I definitely believe aliens were here and abducting people. I believed in ghosts. I believed in that. So, those impressed me. And then I learned to think more critically, and all of a sudden they didn't impress me so much.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, same way. I mean, I was a ghost hunter, and I believed in all that stuff.
You walked the walk on two sides of the fence.
I did. I was on the other side of the fence, completely on the other side, and then came onto the fence and then jumped off to the other side and said, I like it here better, so I'm staying. All right. Keep going here. Greg. Hey, Greg. What's up, buddy? Did your study of inadvertently provide a business model for medium cons?
Oh my God! So I do presentations on the harm in believing in psychics. I mentioned the people who write me that they lost their money, and I work with a psychic detective, and I've interviewed him several times, and I often wonder about that being a business model. And when I do presentations on the subject, I put a slide up which talks about. I might have talked about this when I was here last time. How much money these people make.
Yes.
Right. And I always, when I do that as a presentation, I said, please do not take this as career advice, because yes, it could. It is scary. Right. The average by the industry of the American Association of Psychics and Mediums, certified psychics and mediums, the average makes $500,000 a year, something like that. Yeah, it is. And it's not hard to do when you understand what they're doing. It's, I hope it doesn't. The business market is so crowded with people, you can't make a dime. Don't do it, please.
I'm saying, like, with gas prices and stuff, I don't mean even low average. Like, I'll settle for like $300,000.
No, yeah, the nominally successful was $180,000 a year.
I'm good with that.
And this was 5-year-old currency 5 years ago.
Actually, I'm not good with that. I mean, it really, it's always been that. We've always joked, us two and with friends and stuff. We've always joked, like, if I was just a little dishonest,
absolutely,
I could be rich.
We
could make a lot of money.
So
why aren't we, Kenny?
Because we are honest people.
Yeah.
I don't like lying to people. I don't like deceiving people. And again, I want to touch on this and clarify that I don't think everyone that I know, and I want to make that clear, that I know, that I'm friends with, I don't think everyone that claims to be psychic and or medium is doing it deliberately to be deceptive. I think a lot of them do believe that they have some kind of special ability, but there are definitely some that are doing it and they know they're conning.
Yeah, if you've ever written, like, look up Susan Gerbich's articles in Skeptical Inquirer about, she's been hammering on first Tyler Henry and then Thomas John for a number of years.
Yeah. Detailed
investigations of their TV shows and they do hot readings, especially Thomas John. They did a sting that was reported on in the New York Times because it was an embedded reporter, and they were confident enough that this was fraud that they published it in the New York Times Magazine. And this guy has no conscience. He charged 8 families $400 each to bring 6 to 10-year-old children on, so he could have them talk to their dead grandpas and grandmas. Yeah, I think
I covered that in a show because I think we had both Susan on and JD. JD was part of I think that investigation, and I watched the video. The video.
Yeah, and he knows what.
Was that the one with Bailey?
Yep, Bailey was one. Bailey Harris was playing one of the children, but Susan put up money and paid $400 for her, and also another child. So 2 of the 8 people in this group of people on Zoom with him were frauds, actors playing a role hired by Susan Gerbich to do this. And Thomas John did not sense that. He read back their backstories that he got an email about their dead relatives that didn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the information for one of the children actually came literally from one email.
Yep.
Because there was nothing else. There was no other source. All the information actually came from that email from Susan.
Right, exactly. And talking about the business model, right? So it was a 2-hour show, and there were 8 people, and he had a long introduction and then an outro. Susan looked at the time he spent talking to one particular person. It was like maybe 10 minutes. $400 for 10 minutes of nonsense.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So yeah, it's a good business model.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, if we were dishonest, even a little bit, we would be. I'd be talking to you from a much bigger room, and much cooler looking studio. I mean, I don't know how much cooler you can get from my background.
I know.
I mean, but there would be a lot more stuff here.
You'd still have Princess Leia behind you, no matter how.
Oh hell yeah, she will never lay. She's a permanent part of my background. So because she's the ultimate badass. That's right. All right. Are we good with questions? Do we have any more?
We have another question.
Okay. John, possibly controversial. What is your take on Lawrence Krauss?
I actually went to his presentation at SciCon like 3 or 4 months before this shoe dropped on, on his personal life and what happened after that. Brilliant guy, and I did not delve into the truth or not of the charges against him, so I can't comment on that.
And that's what sucks about things like this. Like I was there same time. We were at the same conference, and the presentation was phenomenal. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, the one thing I would definitely say on that is that's a reason to not put people on pedestals. It's concepts, the scientific method that are important, not the people who represent it at any particular time or in any particular venue, because it's hard to see heroes fall. So if you realize that people are people and they're fragile, I'm not talking about Lawrence specifically, but people of any stripe who you might have thought were great actually could have had bad parts of their personality not affecting their science, but it definitely is a blow to you if you put them up on a giant pedestal. So don't put people up on pedestals, except for Kenny.
Exactly. And I have mine right around the corner here.
Jesus Christ.
So
thanks, Rob. Like,
You're welcome.
Grow bigger.
That's the only person I put on a pedestal.
Grow bigger.
Myself. Sometimes when I'm down, I come up here, I put myself on the pedestal and go, yes.
I'm kissing up a little bit because I want to come back and talk about Havana syndrome at some point.
That's when he shuts his door up here. When
I shut the door. I
I'm
step
like,
up on the
there
pedestal.
he goes. He's going back up on this stool.
And I look around at all my action figures and think, hello, all you little people. Because they're little.
Yeah. Look up to me.
Look up to me.
And the scary ass dolls you have locked in little cages too.
I know. They're all looking up at him though. You ever
I love
notice
it.
that? Everyone's
looking up to me. No. Thanks. No, everyone thinks I'm an egomaniac.
You
and
said
a drunk.
I knew it. You said it.
You're an intoxicated egomaniac. That's what it is. That's what. That's going to be around
Your
my
army
reputation.
of little people.
They're called action figures.
Some call them action figures.
I can't bang the table. My finger hurts.
That's funny. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Are we good? I see. Do we have one more question?
No, we hit them all.
Oh, we did. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't, guys. If I missed a question,
all right,
retype it.
We're good. I think we're good. We're at the end of 2 hours. We've had a great crowd. We've had a lot of people watching live. That's awesome.
They want to go 3 hours, but I'm not thinking so.
We're not going 3 hours this time.
You can only do that once a month.
Yeah. That's 3 hour shows are really hard. It's Saturday morning. But anyway, so
only when you have to get up early.
Do you have where can people find more of
Rob Palmer?
On Facebook as the Well-Known Skeptic, TWK Skeptic, all one word. You could find it real easily with a search. I write for Skeptical Inquirer, as does Kenny. So you could do Rob Palmer, Skeptical Inquirer, and you could find my column there. Awesome. I actually have something very interesting coming up just in, let's see, what's tomorrow? So a week from tomorrow, I'm going to be interviewing mass psychogenic illness expert Robert Bartholomew for the Philadelphia Association of Critical Thinking, fact. And we're going to be talking all about how he thinks Havana syndrome is made up bunk. So you can find that. Can I put something in chat? Am I allowed to do that? I'll put it in private chat. And you can
send it to me and I'll.
So I made a tiny URL with you have to register for this, and then you'll get a Zoom link. And this should be fascinating. I interviewed Robert Bartholomew back in early 2019, kind of just after this had all started, and I thought it was going to go away, that they're going to show that this is just not real, that Americans are not being attacked by sonic or science fiction, other type weapons, and it's just gotten worse and worse. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, 60 Minutes did a report, saying that people at the White House had been attacked, and therefore no one is safe. The CIA director said, yeah, we're having trouble figuring out who's doing this with what, but we know it's real. Robert Bolton, the former security advisor, said, yeah, there's no other explanation. These are actual attacks. And, Robert Bartholomew says, no, none of this is real. It's all in people's heads. So this would be a fascinating discussion. Yeah,
I think this is going to be, we're going to have you on again for your third visit, and maybe talk about this, because I thought the same thing. I heard about it in the news. It came up and I was like, all right, this is something that's, it'll blow over. We won't hear about this again, but it keeps coming back.
Everyone go look at the Havana Syndrome Wikipedia article. That's the name of the Havana Syndrome, and gives you the whole gory details. It's written, so Wikipedia follows the, mainstream understanding. And it's a little weird because in some cases I feel like I have a tinfoil hat on giving the skeptical side of this, because the US government says it's real. The scientists they've hired, medical establishment says it's real. The Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, published 2 reports that it's real. And yet it seems to be not. So it's quite fascinating. Almost anyone I mention this to, how could it not be real? And I almost don't blame them for that. Because you turn on a news story, the 60 Minutes, half-hour report, there was not one critical, skeptical view. It was, this is happening. People at the White House are being attacked by microwave or ultrasonic or infrared, they don't know, some kind of science fiction weaponry that we have no understanding of who's doing it or what kind of weapons they are. But it's really happening because people are getting ill. Apparently not.
Right. Yeah, I mean I think I don't know if this same guy, but I think someone was on Scoring the Strange.
Yeah, probably him. He's
Okay.
like one of the lone voices. So you'll see his name quoted on the Wikipedia article, but it's really the minority. You know,
Okay.
it's like, well, it's probably this it's acoustic or a sonic weapon or microwave, but there's this other crackpot theory that is just in people's heads. You know, and then they quote him. He wrote a book in 2020. It got hardly any reviews. In fact, I am in the middle of writing a review for Skeptical Inquirer about it because it's back in the news. And it's like no one paid attention to it when he wrote the book in 2020. And, you know, if I can't see anyone reading this book, although I know otherwise, people believe things and nothing can convince them. But if you read this book as I just finished it, it's clear that this is mass psychogenic illness and not a real incidence of anyone being attacked by any weaponry.
This is going to be all right. I can get into this. I can't get into hour 3. We're at 2 hours. We're going to have to come back. We're going to have to come back to this.
Anytime.
I think I'm gonna order that book and give it a read through, so I a little more educated. So
yeah, it spends about half the time discussing the details of the current claims. Well, it's been going on since 2016 now, which is a little bit of a hint, right? If they haven't found Bigfoot in like 300 years or no,
hey, don't be picking on Bigfoot, Rob. Okay.
If we don't have real evidence of UFOs for the last 100 years of reports, right? Eventually, you expect. If something is real, there will be real concrete evidence, right? So from 2016, this has been going on. It's spread all around the world. Now claims people, and still there's nothing concrete to see. I can't figure it out. So the longer something, there's a expression. Sometimes absence of evidence is evidence of absence,
yes.
Right? And that's another like little check mark where this is not a real thing going on, folks. You know, we need to stop accusing other governments of attacking us and throwing their diplomats out and that kind of thing, because that's happened. You know, Trump said this is an act of war against the United States, blaming Russia back in 2017. So, you know, this is significant political ramifications. And it's a really great skeptical topic because it seems, as I mentioned, half of the book is about explaining the current situation. And half of it is linking these are the other incidences that people don't really hear about of these kinds of mass psychogenic instances that happen throughout history, from the witch burnings to like last year of a different thing, or the monkey man in India from 2020 or whatever. I mean, this happens all over the world all of the time, this kind of a thing. And yet you get somebody from our government says, there's no other explanation. It must be real. Like, because people can't make stuff up in their heads.
Okay. All right. This is going to be good. This is going to be a good show. Maybe we'll do it. So you have that interview coming up soon, right?
Yeah, it's tomorrow, Saturday. It's the week after.
Okay. So maybe we'll just circle back with you in like a week or two, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and bring you back on and we'll talk about this.
I'll tell you how that went, and
I'll
have my review out of the book by then too. So
right.
Can you put the link back in there again, Kenny, and just
for what?
For Rob's
the tiny URL link.
Do I have it?
You already put it up. He put it in the private chat.
Did I?
You said you were going to.
For the link? Did I? Or
I would just ask you to do it again.
Okay.
Because so people can listen to it if they want.
Okay. All right. So let me run on to my announcements. You are welcome to stay. Actually, you're going to stay because I'm not going to get rid of you yet. So there you go. You're going to have to stay.
I am captive in the little box with
you are. We're going to move on to Squid Game Bob's announcements. Woohoo! All right. So first and foremost, we can do this because I keep forgetting to do this. If you like the show, if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support the show, then you are welcome to go to patreon.com/KennyBiddle. And what do I want to do here? I want to give, where is it? Let's give a shout out. There you go. There's our patrons. I finally did it. It was suggested, and I totally kept forgetting. I actually wrote it up, but I
kept
forgot.
Yelling at him.
Yeah, I know. I had the banner done, but I kept forgetting to put it up. So I put it up there. That's a shout out to my patrons right now. So if you want to support the show, all the money actually goes back into this show for StreamYard and all the projects and stuff that we do. So check it out. You get behind the scenes stuff, pictures, videos that I don't post anywhere else. So, all right. So for announcements, I have a few that aren't even up on the screen right here. So let's see. Let's start Saturdays at 8 p.m. I do 3 Tortured Souls, the show with Tim Vickers and Dave Schumacher. Tomorrow night, I think we're actually doing, the topic is going to be mentors, our mentors, people that have helped us become better investigators and or researchers. So that's going to be the topic tomorrow. We were planning on doing the history of witchcraft part 2, but a special guest that we had in the works fell through, and we can't get her to come on until a later date. So we're going to postpone that. What else do I have? March 17th, I'm going to be joining Jim Underdown for Skeptical Inquirer Presents, which is kind of like it's like a podcast / video kind of thing. We're going to get together, and instead of him interviewing me, we're going to interview each other about investigations and psychic claims and special abilities and ghost gadgets and stuff like that. I have no idea where the conversation is going to go, but we're going to have fun with it. July, let's say 16th, 17th, I'm going to be speaking at the virtual version of Skeptical 2022. I was asked to be a speaker. I'm going to talk about
Well, you didn't add that to your background.
I know, I got to add it because this really finalized in the last couple of days.
Okay.
I'm going to be talking about my journey from ghost hunter to skeptical investigator activist thing. So I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Let's see. July 23rd is the Para-Unity Conference in Woodbridge, New Jersey. I'm going to be set up there with my skeptical help booth, and I'm going to spread skepticism all over the paranormal community in that conference.
They love them there.
They love me. They love me. That's actually the busiest I've ever been. Last year, I pretty much all day I had a line of people at my booth, which was at a paranormal conference. That's unheard of. Really, really fun. August 19th to 21st, I'll be in Gettysburg. We'll be in Gettysburg for the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. So
I'll be at Para-Unity too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Donna with her Lucky Tiki Creations will be at Para-Unity. She'll be at Gettysburg. Gettysburg is not going to be just my skeptical help booth. It's going to be the 3 Tortured Souls. So Tim Vickers and Dave Schumacher will be out with us, and we'll be there together. So come on out and hang out with us. October 20th to 23rd, I'll be in Las Vegas, Nevada for SciCon. That's right. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll be there. And I'll be doing something.
Yeah, if you can make it out.
And that's it for announcements.
Right now.
Yeah,
anybody in our area or anywhere up the East Coast, be safe tomorrow because the weather is going to be really crappy. So if you don't have to go out, don't.
Donna, are you making a prediction about that?
I am.
Well,
so we'll talk about that on Friday next week, about my prediction of the shitty weather that's happening tomorrow.
Yeah, because if it doesn't come true, I'm totally calling you out.
I'm telling you.
That's the way it works here.
Okay, you call me out. Be safe.
I'm gonna. All right. So with
anything
that
that
in
can
mind,
blow away, bring it in.
Thank you, Rob, for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it.
It was fun. Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely. I mean, the information was great. I love talking to you. We had a nice casual conversation. I like that you had a nice drink with you. This is probably one of the few podcasts that you get to drink on.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I do recall, I think it was Russ Dobler was being interviewed, and he looked like he might have had one too many. So I was confident I could drink one and not overdo.
It's fun because I would say out of everyone, Brian Dunning.
Just kidding, Ross. If you watch this,
Brian Dunning can drink. That boy. Oh, we had him on the show, and he was ready to do shots. I was like, yeah, this is what it's all about, baby. Oh, I love it. But yeah, have a great weekend, everyone.
And be safe.
Be safe. Be nice to each other. Be kind. And remember, never stop learning.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.